7 pillars to make pastors fit again. And in this video, I'm going to walk you guys through 7 pillars of pastoral fitness, how they work, and how you guys can steward your bodies without falling prey to worldly approaches. So let's just dive right in. I was laying in my wife's teenage growing up bed in her home in Ohio. And that's probably a confusing way to say it, but we were in Ohio for Christmas, and I was just laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and I was just thinking about you guys actually, and I was praying through, kind of how our community could grow and where we were going and what we were going to do in order to further pastoral fitness specifically, and then also how that's going to affect the world. And so I opened up my phone and I started typing away just some thoughts that I had, and they're in no specific order. I'll give you the 7 pillars in just a second. But I was thinking through the issues that I've noticed after being on a lot of calls with you guys, after talking with you in the community and seeing some of your comments, DMing many of you. And what I've noticed is that there's a few main reasons why most pastors get fitness wrong. The first thing is that they focus on appearance instead of stewardship. And so appearance is something that, if I lose this many pounds, then I'm going to look better. If I get in this shape, then I'm going to feel better, or things like that. And it becomes extremely external based, not internal, not stewardship based. And forgive me if I'm beating this horse to death, but man, stewardship is the important thing here. It's not just about how you look. It's not how many pounds you lose. It's the kind of lifestyle that you are living in the temple that God built for you, that He gave you. And He gave it to you for a time. He gave it to you temporarily, and He gave it to you to use for His glory. That makes you a steward of what He gave you. And so as a steward, fitness is not about just appearance. It's not primarily about appearance. It's about stewardship. That's the first thing that I've noticed people get wrong. The second thing is that there's this tension between fitness and ministry. So I've been on a lot of calls with pastors, and they'll say that fitness and ministry just don't jive. They just don't work together. They'll say things like, I feel guilty taking time for myself, or I feel guilty stepping away from church so that I can go to the gym. Now, they'll get up week after week and do the oxygen mask spiel, you got to grow spiritually yourself before you can help other people do it, things like that, and then not do that same thing in their fitness. They'll encourage their people to be healthy, to live long lives, to take care of their bodies. We'll even preach things like, don't smoke or drink or do drugs, because they're going to degrade your body that God's given you. What? Know ye not that you're the temple of the Holy Ghost? Therefore glorify God in your bodies, which are God's. So we do these things externally, but we don't always acknowledge them ourselves. And so it feels like if I stop doing ministry, then I'm shortchanging the church. I'm not doing enough for the church. And so there's this pressure, and it becomes this tension that's like unmanageable sometimes. And honestly, when something's tense, it's just easier to cut it and let it go its own way than it is to bring it back into balance. And that's what I'm hoping these 7 pillars can do for you. And if you're not live on the call today and you want to learn more about how to use these principles in your own fitness, I'm sharing this in our free community. I'll just show you what that looks like. This is actually right now, we're on the Fit Pastor Leadership call. There's a few guys in here, and all of these guys, 513 people today, they are stewarding their bodies. They're taking ownership of what God's given them so that they can live according to His will in their ministries and in their families. So let's talk about the 7 pillars. First off is Bible first philosophy. And I think we would all say that we want the Bible to be kind of the lodestone for everything that we do. We want Scripture to inform all of our actions, and that's fantastic. But in our fitness, that's also true. And so it's not just our doctrine, it's not just our epistemology, it's not just how we rule in the church or lead in the church, it's also how we do fitness. And so as a Christian, as a child of God, we've already covered stewardship, but now as a child of God, I also have to inform my spiritual walk physically with the Scripture. And that means that I don't need to have crazy approaches to fitness. I don't need to do insane things. I need to do everything with moderation. Paul said that everything needs to be done decently and in order. I know that's about the church, but that's also true for us as Christians in our fitness. And so if for some reason your fitness is taking away from the ministries that the Bible speaks about you having, if you're a father or a husband, your family, if you're a pastor, your church, if God's given us these responsibilities, but my fitness is taking away from those responsibilities, then I've made fitness or other people's opinions of my body shape or the scale or my own ego and, the strength of my lifts, I made these things a god, and I've taken God's standards and his requirements for my ministry and placed them below these other things, these other gods. And so what we've done is we've erected an altar to a false god when really we're trying to serve God. So we need a Bible first philosophy, not an ego first, a vanity first, any of those things. The second thing is a stewardship mindset. And I've already covered that, but we need to make sure that when we view when we do view fitness, it's not viewing it as, just vanity or trying to lose certain weight or trying to fit in with a certain crowd or be a certain kind of guy or whatever. No, it's about stewardship. I'm using the body that God gave me the best way that I know how. And this reminds me of the parable of the talents. Some servants, some people are given 10 talent bodies. They are given 10 talent physiques, 10 talent genes, or 10 talent health. They're just as responsible to steward those 10 talents as the 1 talent person, someone who has poor health, terrible genes, and a miserable life physically. That's still the body that God gave them. And everyone, no matter if you're a 10 or you're a 1 or somewhere in between, no matter what God's given you, it's your job to steward it. And as a pastor, we set the example for stewardship. We set the example for our church. And so our fitness arguably should be the best among our congregation. Is it truly stewarded, or is it just something that happens whenever we, feel like it? The third pillar is evidence-based training. There's a lot of different approaches, and you guys can maybe let me know if you would like a video on this, but there's many different approaches to fitness. Think like you have powerlifters, or you have bodybuilders, or you have hypertrophy guys, you have science-based, you have evidence-based, you have like Olympic guys, you have CrossFit, you have all of these different genres, so to speak, of fitness. I fall under what's called the evidence-based crowd, the evidence-based group of fitness people. And the evidence-based philosophy states essentially that you want to follow methods for muscle growth, for fitness, your workouts, that are evidenced in research, not theoretical, not things that could work, but things that do work. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one, you waste the least amount of time. You don't do additional things that are going to harm you. You don't take time that's going to steal away from your family or steal away from your church. You're going to basically have the most effective training style on the planet for getting in shape long term. The second thing is that it's also the least injury prone, because you're going to do things that are safe, things that are proven and repeatably proven to be safe, to be effective, and to get great results without the downside. And oftentimes in evidence-based training, you're going to choose exercises that are wiser, that are a little bit lower cost to benefit ratios, meaning like there's some exercises that could really damage you physically. There's some styles of training that can really beat up your body. Evidence-based training is not going to do that. It's going to make sure that you're trying to do the best way, the wisest way possible. So just let me know if you guys would ever like a video on that. That'd be interesting, the other styles of training. Let's move on to number 4, ministry first dieting. Ministry first dieting means that I'm not going to diet primarily so that there's different things you can optimize for, okay? If I'm optimizing for fat loss, I would never go out to eat. I would never eat anything that I didn't make, because that way I can measure every single ingredient. I know exactly how many tablespoons of oil are in every dish. I know how many calories to the T. I could be extremely, extremely aggressive in my tracking, in my control, and in my repeatability of recipes and food. The problem is what happens the first time someone asks you out. Someone after Sunday, the service, they're like, hey, we would love to take you out for lunch. And you're like, no, because I already prepared something in my Tupperware. Like, that's not ministry first. That's you first. That's mirror first, really. That's other people's opinions of your body first. And I understand. There absolutely is a case for having moderation and control and doing things the right way in your diet and in your fitness. But if it costs you the opportunity to minister to the people that God gave you, then you're doing it wrong. So we need something that is ministry first. We need a dieting approach that works with us, not against us in our ministry. And so this is just one of those principles. You need to find something. I have my opinion of what works the best, but that's because it works the best for me. Something else might not work as well for you. So you need to find what works for you that does not take away from your ministry, that does not take away from your family. Because look, I've been on a lot of calls with guys and they're like, dude, I did paleo for like 2 months and we ate nothing that my family liked. And they were all sick of it. They all wanted to like throw me out of the house. I slept like Snoopy on top of the doghouse in the backyard. Like nobody liked them and they just ruined their family for 2 months because they had this diet and they were going to follow the diet. If it's working against your family and your family can't enjoy a sports outing, or that you can't go to the fair in the town and enjoy that time, like get the funnel cake, okay? Enjoy your life. And if you can't do that, if you can't invest in your kids by adding a little bit of fun, or if you can't invest in your ministry by going out and having opportunities to go to coffee with people or things like that, then your dieting is hurting you, it's not helping you. And what we need is a diet approach that is ministry first, that's family first, not me first. That brings me to number 5, the man first priority. Now, I feel like this is an entire genre of YouTube. Like we could definitely go into the self-improvement arguments and all of those things, and many of you probably have. But man first priority means I'm not just trying to get an outcome, I'm trying to build the man who gets that outcome. So like think about like an ancient warrior. Like technically, yes, you could probably train a young guy who's never done any kind of soldiering before. You could train him to wield the sword and to do a certain combo of moves the right way, and then cause him to defeat an enemy in a certain set of circumstances. He'd probably win. But is he the kind of man who consistently wins skirmishes, who consistently wins the battle? No, he's not, because he's not developed any skills outside of that one thing. And so if we have a fitness first priority, if we have a scale first priority, then we're optimizing for an outcome, and we're going to get to this in a minute, but not the inputs. I'm not building me, I'm just building a version of me that knows how to do this one thing. But what happens when those circumstances aren't perfect, when life doesn't come on a silver platter, and when everything isn't exactly how you want it to be? Well, now you need to develop yourself in order to overcome those difficulties. You need a man first priority. You're building you, not just a lifestyle, not just habits. You're building you. You are the steward, not the actions. That brings me to number 6, data-driven decisions. Data-driven decisions means that you are not going to make decisions about your fitness that are just based on whims, emotion, or variability. They're going to be based on actual outcomes. So if you're tracking your weight and you're tracking your calories, you're tracking your lifts, you will be able to see what is causing what to happen. If you didn't eat for a day, then your next lift is probably going to be worse. If you are eating a lot, then your scale's going to go up, not down, like things like that. The problem is we change approaches and we become scattered and we go crazy attempting different things instead of just optimizing 1 or 2 things at a time. But that's because we just don't really know what we're looking at. And most of the time, we don't know what we're looking at because we have not tracked it, because we've not collected the data to make an informed decision. And so if we're going to excel in our pastoral fitness, we need to make data-driven decisions, not just estimations, not just guesses. We need to make wise decisions. And finally, input-focused goals. Who is going to journey farther? The man who wants to see the destination, or the man who enjoys walking? The man who enjoys walking. For us, our goal is not the outcome. Kind of like we're not promised tomorrow. So some, taken to the extreme, I don't know anybody who does this, but some could say, well, if we don't know if Jesus is coming back tomorrow, if we're going to die tomorrow, then why would I witness today? Because it might not even have any effect in the future. Well, that's defeatist, and it's not obedience, and it's not stewardship, because I am given today. Doesn't matter if there's tomorrow. Doesn't matter if the outcome ever happens. What matters is the fact that I'm here today and that I need to do the next right thing. I was in a teen camp years ago. I think it was my junior or senior year. And the pastor preached a message, and I'll be honest, he completely tanked the entire camp. Like the whole week, his messages fell flat. Nobody, like everyone was asleep. It was super boring, honestly. And it was hard to pay attention. But he did one sermon that kind of hit home with everybody. And it was because of this one sentence. He says, when you don't really know what to do, just do the next right thing. You don't know if you're going to have tomorrow. You don't know if your stewardship, your physical stewardship, or your fitness journey is going to ever land you 40 pounds down or the best shape of your life or looking like Hulk Hogan. But you do know what today has. And the goal is the inputs, not the outputs. The actions you take on the journey to the goal. When you're hiking, you're not thinking about 10 steps ahead of you, you're thinking about the next one. And that's the same thing here. We're just looking at this input, at today's actions, and that's going to be what gets us to the goal. And so if you take these 7 pillars and you implement them, then you're going to see outcomes kind of like Adam. His fitness stopped competing with his ministry. He mentioned this, that he realized it's okay to make mistakes and not to stop. And he said that he's created more margin in his life. That's important because if your fitness is competing with your ministry, with your kids and your family, then it's not doing the right thing. You're competing against yourself, not working with yourself. You're competing against God's goals for you. Billy, stewardship, he wrote this kind of interesting title, but basically he blamed us because he was wanting some ice cream after lunch, but he knew that there was going to be some accountability. He said, I needed to come back into the community and get to know people. And so there was accountability, and that helped him make a wise decision. And then Daniel, he had small, sustainable changes, and that helped him to lose 30 pounds. And his small thing is he didn't have any soda for almost 3 months, and he's been watching what he's eaten. Remember, he's built a system that works for him, for his ministry, with his lifestyle, not against it. And these little things are just based on these 7 principles. Now, if you could get all 7 principles right every single day, it is unreasonable that you would not reach your goal. Now, part of what I do as a coach is I help people do that directly, and we just build this into everything that you do. So I currently have 2 spots available to work one-on-one to lose probably 20 to 30 pounds in the next 6 months using Bible-based fitness, these principles and these pillars. So if you're curious, there is a link to apply. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description. And this is first come, first serve. Guys in the community, I'll put this in the link later on if you guys are interested. But let me give you just a few practical takeaways. While I was laying there in my wife's high school bed in Ohio, these are the things that I thought, if they can just get this, they got it. Fitness has to flow from Scripture, not from culture. Culture wants you to do things the vain way. They want you to, do it just so that you look better, or even in some cases so that you can pick up girls or whatever. I don't think that's any of your problem, but that's the whole thing. Justin, I'm looking at you, and I know you got that pickup culture, red pill, black pill. The thing is, we're not doing that. We're doing what God says, and what He says is to use today for His glory. Doesn't matter about tomorrow; it means today, and that's what we're here to do. Stewardship beats vanity every time. And that obviously goes back to the last point. But if I'm using today, then I don't have to worry about looking a certain way. I know where I stand. I know that I've done today as unto the Lord. And that's what matters to me. Not what people see, not what people think about me whenever I go into the gym. And even me, I've been lifting for a decade, and yet I still go into the gym and I wonder, are these guys thinking that I'm lifting a lot of weight or a little weight? It doesn't matter though. The fact is I'm still stewarding my body as unto the Lord. And that's where we get to the very last part. Focus on the inputs, and the outcomes will follow. You cannot, in your right mind, tell me that if you dieted well, that if you went to the gym consistently, you moved more, ate less, and then you built some muscle, that you would not be in the best shape of your life given enough time. That is not a reasonable argument to make. So if you do the inputs, the outcomes will follow. And one of the biggest unlocks I've had this year is like, if you just find people who are successful at what you want to do, and then you repeat the actions that they took to get to where they are, you will get to the same place. It's like if someone's climbed a mountain before and I climb the same mountain, I will stand on the same mountaintop. Like duh, but that's not how we think about it in this, is it? We're like, man, if I got 100 different directions to go. No, just find somebody that you admire, that you look up to, and who's accomplished what you want, and then follow the steps that they took. Follow the inputs that they've taken, and the outcomes will follow. That said, that is all I've got for you today. I appreciate your time, and I'm hoping that you guys can help make pastors fit again.